The lights, the silence, perfect. I think that the only reason why Steve Jobs had his company is because he could just be on the stage and have everything. But I think we are all hyped up on coffee and some information about AI. So now it's time to look closer into the actual AI tools that we can use. This blog is devoted to explaining how we can use different tools. We will leave for now the hype outside, but we will get into the actual knowledge. And for this, we will welcome Michał Furmankiewicz from Microsoft. And he will actually tell us how we can use the AI technology for the business advantage. Okay, bravo.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. My name is Michał. I'm working as a principal program manager at Industry I team at Microsoft. Just to give you the context, we are a global team, and for more than last year, we are working with partners and customers across the world to help them enable and infuse some of those Gen AI capabilities. We've been working with many industries for many years across AI. Right now, we're adding Gen AI and connecting those two things together. So, of course, you've probably heard that what has changed for us significantly. Previously, we've been working with AI algorithms. We've been building them for specific industries, and we had to spend a lot of time just to prepare them. Right now, it's a bit simpler, because these new Gen AI capabilities can hear, can listen, can generate, and they have already pre-created content. So this is what we can reuse to create the solutions even faster. And you've probably seen many of those, like this one, where this chart shows how GPT 3.5 and GPT 4 can actually perform against some US-based high school exams. And as you can see, in most of those, they are passing. They still have some subjects which they fail, but this capability, reasoning, ability to find the information, ability to extract the information, is something we really count on to build the solutions. Frankly speaking, we are not that much interested in their knowledge. We don't care. We don't really care because we don't want to build general solutions. We want to build solutions tailored for you, for specific industry, for specific partner, so we don't really care. But the whole capability of reasoning, yeah, that's super powerful. But the more is coming. You've probably seen that already, that the new capabilities of generative AI will enable you to analyze the videos, or as we like to say, multimodals concepts. So this is GPT-4V. This is actually part of the scientific paper you can find out by yourself. And this is interesting, because right now, as you can see on the top, you can combine the prompt in the text, you can give here some pictures, and at the end, you can get the answer, which combines those two. As you can see on the table, you have 4 bottles. 2 of them are non-alcoholic beer, as you know in Poland, right? And at the end, he knows how much you will pay for that, analyzing the menu prices as well. Here you have something very, very simple. Your kids will like it. You will hate that, right? But what's interesting in here, the model can explain itself. One of those capabilities which we need to have if we want to deliver the solutions really aligned to responsible AI principles which we will have. But let's take this one step further. This is interesting. This is a meme. So the question is, what you can see, can you explain this meme? And as you can see, the question is, sometimes when I look at the earth, I marvel how beautiful it is. I know you are all hungry right now. Please wait 90 minutes. Of course, this is a chicken, right? But the model can understand this discrepancy between the picture, between the question, and what the question really says. You may say, hey, how can you use that for specific business solution? Think about those differences when you have 2 documents, you want to resonate on both of them, and then you can figure out that both of them are saying something different about the same thing, like about the stocks, about the ESG reports, about the results, whatever, what have you, right? But then with those capabilities, you can detect them more simply. But that's interesting. Who don't like to procrastinate, excuse me. So if you are a frog and you want to procrastinate, this is again a quick picture where the model can explain why this is funny. I don't want to mention this one, but I think, you know, who used this kind of style, right? Writing hand style. Definitely this is a paracetamol, right, from the doctor. No, I'm just kidding. But you get the point, right? The models are more and more powerful in those concepts. So of course we are working with OpenAI. What we can bring to the table, OpenAI is bringing a lot of R&D. They are bringing a lot of R&D, they are bringing a lot of architectures around how to build those models, how to optimize them, how to run them. What we can bring to the table, we can bring a cloud. The cloud environment, which is in the context of the model, not infinite. And we can bring the business knowledge. So this is what we are bringing to the table. We understand the concepts, industry scenarios, and we do understand how it is important to think about data security and privacy for those companies. But not only OpenAI. We are working with Meta to bring a lot of open source models. So as we saw across a number of solutions, it's not only about proprietary models, but also open source models, which you can fine-tune and tailor for specific solutions. But we have not started this journey yesterday. We've been working on many of those concepts for many years. And I don't want to, this is a very busy slide, sorry for that. The goal for this one is not to impress you how many of those capabilities we have. But the point in here is that in many of those solutions you combine plenty of those tools together. So if you want to do a simple translation, probably you can use a simpler language capability. You don't have to use OpenAI always. It will be not cost effective. If you want to detect what you have on the invoices, documents, insurance policies, maybe you can work with form recognizer. If you want to detect things on the videos, maybe video indexer would be a way for you to go. Many of those are there. And as I said, it's never only about generative AI. It's always about combining a set of those capabilities for certain industries. So if you ask yourself, okay, so if I've done more than 400 workshops across the last 8 months, talking with partners and customers from almost every part of the world. And if you would level up, what are the scenarios in which you can use those technologies? Potentially, you could say those 4 above me are the way to go. Of course, they are simplistic, and you are not excited at all, right? Well, because I'm not in here to excite you, I'm more in here to tell you what's possible to do when you're working with specific industries. So definitely, the whole content generation thing is powerful. Because right now, think of it, you can take the insurance policy, you can understand the damages of your car, and potentially you can send a recommendation if this damage will be covered by this insurance policy in that specific state. United States is a crazy nation. They have a different insurance policy, law in every single state. So how to solve for that with those capabilities? Yeah, this is the way to go. But the other thing, summarization. So not only summarization is interesting, but also data extraction. How you can extract specific data from 200 pages reports related to financial results of some specific companies and use them to figure out what will happen with that company in the next 6 months. Code generation. I know you are business people, so you don't care how we write the code. But what we have discovered, and I think this is important, it's not that the devs are writing the code faster. Well, they were writing the faster code because of many other tools, because of tools which they have already which can auto-complete the code. What we figure out, they are more happy. That's interesting. They are more satisfied with the way they do the work, because right now they don't have to spend the time on those mundane tasks. They can focus on this is what is more creative, part of it. And this is not just results which I can tell you about. You can read a scientific paper about what has changed internally at Microsoft because of those code generation capabilities. Let me show you some other things. The biggest thing which of course, you've all learned is that reusing any of those generative AI algorithms without your data is asking yourself for failure. Excuse me, my language is not getting at its best this time of the day, but I hope it will improve by the end. So of course, you have to bring some knowledge. Your transactional data, your operational data, maybe some internal knowledge database, what have you, just to make sure you can ground your algorithms based on that. In Polish, grounding means uziemienie. I know it's not exciting at all, but it means basically that what you generate is based on your data, and you can even measure how much the content you've done is grounded. And of course, this together, this is the differentiator. We don't believe that creating new model, spending a lot of time and money, basically we expect that to build another foundational model, you have to spend roughly $100 million based on what we have seen. So we think that the real differentiator for companies is where you bring your own data and connect this with these capabilities in many ways. Well, this is a simple reason for that, right? if you will ask a generative model at all, hey, how you can do some task in my company, he will not know because this doesn't have a grounding. But if you help him with some grounding data, some context data, it will happen. Of course, we've done this for many months with partners, but right now what's happening, it's not even more about the, how the models can help us personalize the content, how we can make our decisions more grounded on the data, but how we can automate. So don't think only about Q&A like dialogue. Think about, okay, hey, dear agent, can you help me with offering the travel somewhere else, 2 hours flight from Katowice with my family, where I can find a good weather and come back in 2 weeks under $1,000. Can you do that for me? And if you say yes, we can do the automation. So this is the way we are going to push that forward, right? Not only simple, let's say simple, personalization, but the automation. Okay, let's skip that part for a second. If you want to see how the grounding works in real, this is a very simplistic way to show it. You have what we call, system message prompt, which tells your model how to behave. You have the context, and you have the question. The question really is how to put in that context a lot of data from your company. But this is what we are solving for right now. I want to scare you a bit. No, I'm just joking. I hope you want to also bring some knowledge back to your engineers. So let me show you something more technically literate. Don't worry about the stuff above. Don't worry. It's not about that. If you're really thinking how to build those RAG, so how to really ground your model on your data, there are a couple of steps you have to do. And the first one is to make sure that you have the right data. That's why I love the whole hype, as you said, on the LinkedIn about how generative AI models can be helpful. Without your data, without the data in a format which you can use them for those prompts, you will not push much. You will not do a lot, frankly speaking. So you have to have a store, you have to have a sources which you understand, you have to have a way to figure out which the data in your company are actually related to the task you want to do. And this is not an easy task, I can tell you. Especially that for many years we've been collecting data, but we haven't done a lot when it comes to data governance. So let's move one step further. Let's think about what's coming. And well, actually, it came already. Let's talk about copilots, or all those assistants which can help you with your mundane cognitive task you can do. We curated that, well, we thought, okay, it's a nice word to call lots of the products we've been delivering, but we are not a product company. It may sound strange, but we are actually a platform company. So we are the platform for the startups, for the companies, for the partners to build their own products. And those copilots are also for you to extend them. It's not for you only to use them, it's for you to extend them. But let's start. So we've of course produced many of those, and you can expect even more from us. Some of them are in very, very different areas. As you can see, one is in the security area, one is for the GitHub area. You can see some of those for the productivity suites area. We'll have more of those. And all of those can be extended. All of those could be extended by your specific business processes which you can bring to the table. So in a nutshell, Copilot is nothing really new. It's a UX experience. It's a UX experience which can assist you as a human to do some complex tasks. And we are very blunt and very open about that. It's a co-pilot, not a pilot. You are the pilot. This is someone who helps you to do some of those tasks. But you are in charge. You are in a driving seat. Very important from our part. And in many ways, we are thinking about those as the great way to interact with the information you have. Right now, we think that it's a great way to do the actions, perform some actions on the system which you can accept. So let me show you a brief video. Can you play this one? Let's see if this will work.
Meetings, content you've shared, any issues, and deliverables.
Can you mute that, actually?
Emails.
Okay, thank you. So what this guy does, it actually, it's sitting in Teams. It can access all the data you have in Teams from M365 Productivity Suite. So like emails, documents, chats, things you have on the OneDrive. And as you can see, you interact with that to get some notion of what happened last week or yesterday. The answer which you get not only contains a kind of a summary, but also some references to the docs you have already in your M365. This is just the beginning, because think of it, if you could put your company-related Copilot into this one and deliver your company data and combine those two to reach even better effect, to reach the scale effect. So this is what we are doing with partners around the world to help them do that, right? So think about, hey, I want to do my business trip, and I know I'm using SAP Concur system to do those. Could it be possible to ask for that trip from here? Yes. That's something we are working on. But that's also related to travel. We are thinking about lots of business processes which are actually knowledge related, right? Let me show you another example. This is more complicated. Okay, if you can mute it as well. So you may say, hey, we don't care about coding, we don't care about code generation. Think about this. You're a business analyst at your company, you know you have plenty of data, and you want to say, hey, build me a report summarizing some stuff I have, and you described what kind of data you want to summarize with. Think of it, it has to understand your intent, then it has to decompose your intent, find out the data sources you have, figure out how to summarize them, and create this one for you, and potentially give you some kind of description what you can see on this one, so to do some kind of analysis. We are working on this right now, we'll show you that very, very soon. But as you can see, this is an interactive report created by this capability which understands your data, your schemas, and can create business-related reports. Of course, again, you can extend it, you will be able to extend that through your own data, your own plugins, and interact with this in the same way as you've seen it before. This is a publicly available video on LinkedIn, so on YouTube, so you can watch it later on and play play it by yourself to see what different charts can be generated by using those commands. So let's move on. As I said, the whole goal, okay, this Copilot capability is coming to all of the suites we have. But again, it's not only about what we can do with those solutions. The question is what you can get. Maybe you are preparing yourself for a presentation, but you have just created some design in your specific CAD/CAM system or in your specific Adobe system, and you want to present that to your board. Would it be nice to go and ask your PowerPoint to get the data from your Adobe, put them somehow into the PowerPoint, create a ready-to-use presentation, and go and present that to the board, right? Another level of performance, another level of productivity, right? Which could happen with your own data. In here, you can see mostly our 1P solutions, first-party solutions we create, but you can all extend them by yourself. And the way to extend them is by plugins. Probably you've heard about this concept. So the plugin is the way to get your data, understand what you have there, but also execute some actions if your source system can do that. So think of it. In the Teams, you could ask for your business travel, but also you may ask for putting the vacation or maybe do some specific task in a transactional system, and you will see that later on. There are already some plugins, and this is the same standard as OpenAI is using, so this is a common standard. We already see some plugins being available, but more to come as the concept how you can interact with what we have with your system is extending. Okay, let me give you another a bit technical slide. Let's assume you don't want to use those Copilot capabilities in our system. You want to build everything from scratch by yourself because your users love your application, because they need to stay focused in your specific user experience, because you don't want to lose you don't want to lose them. You want to keep them in the same place for all the day they do the work. Or probably the scenario you want to create is not related at all to the business productivity which I showed you, right? So yes, you can create that. And right now, it looks a bit complicated because you have to deliver a lot of things by yourself. Of course, we have some recommendations about the UX. We have the orchestration engine freely available on GitHub. We have some patterns around responsible AI, and of course, we have some models. Not only our models, but also your models, which you want to bring to the table. Believe me, this will be way simpler soon, so you could think a bit delivering this by yourself on the platform without the connotation, well, built on top of the cloud infrastructure. But, this is just the technology. The crucial thing is the scenario which you can tackle by bringing AI, Gen AI capabilities. And I know this is, again, a busy slide, but you can get it. This one is how I try to work with partners and customers to distill what scenarios they would like to build. But I'm not only talking about the scenarios which they think are crazy and wild, but also I'm asking them, okay, can you cover the costs? Do you understand your revenue stream? Is it not risky to bring that solution to the market? Because if your solution is recommending, investing in the stocks, do you think you're ready to deliver that to the market? So bringing the scenarios and making sure you understand what is the business potential, what is the business value, if they are at least feasible to deliver. Many discussions which I have are about the scenarios which probably are not yet available because of some limitations of the technologies we have as a humanity today. And we already see some results. CarMax is one interesting. This is the Canadian-based company. They are selling the cars, but what they are trying to help you, because they have so many of those, with the Copilot-like capability, they are helping you to curate the idea what car you would love to have. But also, let me show you something which is more recent. So Toggle AI, they've presented that on Sibos. Sibos is a big FSI conference happening in Canada, I think in Toronto this year. So they are using those capabilities to analyze financial reports, to extract entities which are helping them to help their quants, their investment managers, to think about investments in the FSI market. So this is like a co-pilot for the investment banker. Another one, Intellect Design. So they are more focused on the data which banks are storing in the ISO format. Not super popular in Europe, very popular in US, and they are looking for fraud transactions with the Gen AI capabilities. So again, it's not all based on Gen AI, but the way you interact with that software is based on that. And another one, which is really interesting, not delivered yet, some private previews are popping up. They are trying to deliver a virtual CFO to the SMB customers. So to those customers who are not able to, to pay for the high rates for the CFO. Yes, if you want to have a virtual one who can analyze your cash flow, who can analyze your portfolio of products, potentially TradeLedger will be able to deliver that with some of those capabilities. But the last thing, I'm working a lot with regulated industries. And the thing they are very, very much concerned is, okay, but where is my data? What do you do with my data? Do you fine-tune your models? Can I limit the availability of my data only to EU, or maybe to Switzerland, or maybe to UK, or maybe to Poland? We are regulated. So yes, you can do that. And yeah, I know how it sounds that Microsoft runs on trust. It's a marketing slogan, but the rest is true. We don't use your data to fine-tune the models. We don't use your data to optimize the models. We can offer those generative AI capabilities from many regions, also from Poland. I don't know how many of you that knows, but yes, you can also use OpenAI capabilities from Azure, from Poland, if you like. And there are lots of compliance standards. So if you are in the FSI space or in energy space or in any other regulated space like telco, you probably want to have those compliance standards and you don't want to care about them anymore. But let me talk about another piece which I think is overhyped on the LinkedIn and nobody really talks about that. So let's talk about responsible AI. Of course, someone may say, hey, Microsoft, you've published those 5 or 6 principles. They look nice, but what do you mean really by them? So we not only publish those 6 principles, but on the LinkedIn style, how many words you can have. So usually people put those 6. But underneath, you have almost 20 goals, or how we call them features, whatever, as you can see in here, which are telling you basically what you need to do at the general space to make sure that you are building a solution compliant, which is accountable, which is transparent, which is fair. And frankly speaking, if you want to deep dive, here is the document which is publicly available. This is the way we work with our own solutions, with our partners, to make sure that they deliver against all of those responsible AI capabilities. And let's be honest with you, it's not easy. So we have a program internally. We spend from 3 to 6 weeks just to go through all of those with our solutions. We will release some tools which will help you to check those responsible AI features based on your own solutions, just to make sure you're also compliant with the standards we think are good to have. Of course, you may have your own idea how to, how to build a solution against them, but that's the thought. Yes, we spent 6 years to bring them to the life. It wasn't easy, and right now we are testing them across all of the solutions we are building with ourselves and with partners as well. But the mitigation layers comes into different places. Those mitigation approach which can mitigate the risk of responsible AI comes into different places. And one which is very, very much overlooked is UI UX. Think of it, how you want to communicate, how do you want to run the dialogue with the end user? How much you want to tell him that, yes, you are just a kind of a robot, you are just an agent. How much you will be open, that the data you've produced or you recommended can be hallucinated. So those are the areas by which you can mitigate the risk which you can face by implementing those responsible AI practices into your software. And to wrap up quickly, our CEO said that Microsoft is built to help every company, every person, every company to achieve more. I'm adding this industry piece in here because I think the industry focus is so important when you build this solution for different industries. Either it's FSI space, or maybe it's a sustainability space, or maybe you are building a solutions for energy. No matter in which industry you are working you need to have solutions curated for that specific industry. And the second thing, which I think is important, is that the paradigm shift in how you develop, how you deliver the apps is changing. You probably remember that. Many years ago, some people said the application without the internet is not working at all. Well, this is how we treat this. We don't treat the application which is not using internet as a working one. We think that in a very close future, the same will happen if you will not have those capabilities in your software. We see so many examples across every industry around the world, so we think this is what will happen. And with that, I want to thank you very much for your patience and listening. Thank you. And of course, if you have some questions, I know it was a bit technical, I'll be around, so happy to talk.
Okay, thanks very much. I've seen Michał's slides before, and I was hoping for some jokes, because I saw some jokes generated by ChatGPT, but we didn't get to them. So I have one for you that ChatGPT generated for me, and it consists of Microsoft and ChatGPT, and it goes like this. Why did ChatGPT apply for the job at Microsoft? Because it wanted to teach clear the solutions are there for the work. And of course, as Michał said, without the hype, but with a lot of knowledge, we can think of how to use those AI tools that we have to actually do something more creative, how to do some innovation that actually would be meaningful for the customers we have. So the next guest is Fabian Strunden from Miro, who I want to invite sincerely on stage. Ah, there you go. And he will lead us through the idea of developing the ideas.
Amazing, thank you. We definitely have to work on the joke prompts. But overall, incredible presentation, unbelievable breadth as well. And as our solutions are also built as the backbone on GPT, very cool to see all of this and definitely very inspirational. Super. Today I want to talk about customer-centric innovation with Miro Assist. Quick show of hands, who works on boards to collaborate visually? Awesome. So we have quite a lot of people here who actually use boards, regardless of whether Miro or not. Definitely a great paradigm to work in. I really love it as a visual thinker myself as well. Background in design. I just love the way how intuitive it is, and you can bring people to a board and everyone just sort of knows what to do with whatever is available on it. Move stuff around and think about information in a more spatial sense. Do I have a click there? Yeah, so at Miro, I'm the lead PM for our AI offering, and with that, I'm going to take you through that now, how we can use AI to innovate. Do I have to? How does the pointer? Okay. Does it work or not? Oh, it works, okay. All right, super. So, augmenting human potential, this is something that has always excited me. I think in such a rapidly moving world that we are in, we need to use what we have available to actually make the most with every day we invest into our work as well as our life. Right? We saw some great examples on how we can plan trips and make meaningful memories with the help of technology as well, taking out the grunt work and the effort of getting us there. In my past, I've worked on building augmented reality headsets and delivering information at the right place, at the right time, to those that work without a desk, without a computer, and are working essentially in front of machines. And giving them that information allows them to make the right decisions at the right spot. I think that was an incredible start in the world of augmenting human potential, and I'm super excited to continue this journey now with AI, for people who work at computers and help them kind of excel at their work. So here we're looking at Miro. So I work at Miro. Miro's mission is to empower teams to create the big next thing. Miro, for us, the people and the team are in the center, right? And now we're talking about augmenting human potential. We never think about this in a way that the job of the people go away. We more so think, how can we accelerate people to build the right context to come together and innovate together so that everyone is working from the same page, or in terms of Miro, on the same board. And we believe that innovation, not only one department is part of that. To have true innovation, we need the whole company to come together and for everyone in the company to be truly empowered to think in terms of innovation. It comes from both the product innovation, it comes from business innovation, and even culture innovation to set the right frameworks and the right people to make them come together with shared context and make them think innovatively together. And even though we know that innovation is so important, yet most executives are dissatisfied with their organization's ability to innovate and compete. So while we know from McKinsey study here that 80% of executives say innovation is their top 3 priority, only 10, or less than 10% of executives report being satisfied with their innovation performance. And 40% of global CEOs think their organizations will no longer be economically viable in 10 years. So if we take a look at this, we actually need to really recognize that we must innovate. So we bear the question, how do we innovate together more effectively? So innovation fails when teams don't have the right tools, processes, and mindset to collaborate. I think the one that really stands out for me at the top here is the lack of shared context, or the impact when distributed teams lack shared context to make decisions together and to think together. And this is a question that we internally face as well. No surprise, as someone working at Miro, of course we use Miro to build innovative solutions and to disrupt. We have 60 million users, and we get bombarded with feedback every single day from those users. And this information that we get is absolute gold to understand where are our users experiencing friction and how can we improve our product for them. And again, regardless of whether your product or what you're focusing on innovating in is the culture of your company, the business of your company, or the product of your company, having this information come together in a single place and making sense of it is a critical part to understand on how to act on it. And evidence-based decisions are really the only way to help your teams kind of move forward on an educated way. And the question is, can AI make this a problem of the past, of not having shared context, of not having teams be on the same page?
Introducing AI for
Let
innovation.
me introduce to you
Miro Assist.
Miro Assist.
Now you can
We
create
have
with
some
a
nice
prompt,
music on
chat,
this as
or
well.
click. And this is just the beginning. When you build the next big thing, do it with the tool of tomorrow. This is Miro Assist.
Okay, we missed a little at the beginning there, but this is Miro Assist, and we have already released a lot of AI capabilities a couple of months ago, and from the input that we learned from our users, what the gaps were, where it wasn't able to achieve their goals, we took all of that and actually ideated on the next iteration of that. And we learned a lot about co-pilot experiences early on as well. Now you can do all of that with the context from your board right inside of Miro. No need anymore to have your ChatGPT window open, copy-paste the content over, and bring things in a meaningful way back on the board. You can actually discover those actionable insights and make decisions directly in the context of your board. So how does the journey to innovate together look like in Miro? So we start, how can Miro Assist help achieve customer-centric innovation breakthroughs? It all starts with the data. The first step is to collect the relevant data in a single place so that you can extract meaningful insights. And AI, no doubt, can help discover those themes and extract particular insights that you can then act on. Next, we want to turn insights into ideas, and we know a visual collaboration environment is the best place to prioritize a particular insight and get the whole team creative around it. Just like any how might we's or crazy eights, this is the type of stuff that can happen directly on the board, turning insights into ideas. And then next, we want to turn those ideas into actions. So to achieve the real outcomes, what's most critical is that we actually have a plan towards delivering that value, again, regardless of whether it's improving your product, whether it's improving your internal culture or your business. So, data to insights. Where is that data coming from? We know most of our customers, of course, already do customer interviews, NPS feedback, support tickets, user forums, an incredible amount of information that is solid gold if you're able to interpret it and understand it. Bringing it together on a board helps you to interpret this data right there, and we're going to see a little clip on the most kind of basic foundational way of achieving that. So here, Miro Assist is able to cluster your information by sentiment, giving you a nice high-level overview before you then can identify a particular segment that you want to dive deeper into. Sometimes this high-level overview just isn't enough. You actually need more detailed information to dive into it. And that's where prompting, free-form prompting, gets you so much further than just clustering by sentiment. Our new assistant is able to uncover key customer concerns because you're actually able to write those prompts while selecting content from your board, while selecting those sticky notes, those insights, those workshop outcomes on the board, and prompting it right there and then. What's even better, So what we saw here is a very basic prompt at first, where we are looking at some challenges that our users face. And then we see the next step taken, where we actually equip AI with the context of what our goal is. And by that, there is already a step of synthesis that AI can help you achieve by identifying what the most impactful opportunity is to invest in towards achieving your outcome. And we can say that in the context of finding the most critical pain points that reduce churn during checkout. By equipping AI with the goal that you have in mind, we want to reduce the churn just before checkout. It can then read between the lines and find the right insights from your data to help you focus in on that. Next, we don't only just give you an answer in a chat, but to make it collaboratively actionable, we help you bring that insight back onto the board in form of a sticky note so that you can get creative around it, convert it into a how might we exercise, and get started ideating on it. So let's take the next step here, insights into ideas. First step is to understand what insight is the most valuable to focus in on. Miro, of course, helps you vote on your insights that you have gathered. You can do a prioritization exercise, or even kickstart, with the help of AI, a mind map where the AI can help you precede ideas. What we know is that often the start is the hardest. And when your team has to come up with everything from scratch, it is a lot of thinking that has to happen before getting to the most kind of like out there valuable ideas. If we take those kind of mundane ideas and get the team started with the help of AI, we believe we can excel them to think different and out of the box sooner. Let's take a look of how we can do this with the help of mind maps. And I hope this is where you also recognize what's different. In ChatGPT, you write alone. You take prompts, you get responses, you then format it in a document or something to discuss it with others. On a visual collaboration platform like Miro, you can make those insights directionally actionable within the same workshop. There is less need for the prep work and more opportunity to accelerate your innovation workflows. So let's talk about bringing ideas to action. What we need to do is, let's say we have this wonderful idea, we believe we should take next steps on it, but then we still need to migrate this to external tools to actually plan how we want to act on it. With the help of AI, we can do this directly in the tool as well. Let's take a look of how we can expand user stories on things we have prioritized. And while we know nobody codes in Miro, still having these examples generated in place is an opportunity to have a conversation around it and gather to kickstart your thinking process again. And here we saw the example of breaking something into user stories. There's certain patterns and workflows that are very well known, and GPT and the kind of large language models we know are well trained on it. Instead of formulating and breaking things down to bring it into that format, we believe AI is an incredible accelerant at the transformation to get work into the right format to help you act on it and take it forward. And of course, there is concerns around AI, right? We know that business leaders are asking the right questions. Is our data going to be used to train AI models? Will the company information be shared with third parties? Can we enable the feature in a testing environment to try out whether it's safe to use, to understand biases, to get a better understanding on how to employ it throughout the workday? And we're working with our customers to both answer these questions and let them understand how to use it in a safe way. The most important answers here is, yes, of course, your input data is not used to train models. And we actually don't even retain the conversation you have with Miro AI or Miro Assist, but instead the responses only are kept once you bring them onto the board. And then our models are hosted in a complete private cloud, so there is no fear of any data ever leaking to anyone else. To give admins the control of our enterprise customers, we have admin panels where you can actually choose who has access to AI. This means you always remain in control, who has access and how to use it safely, but we can assure you the data is not being used. Thank you very much. I hope this got you excited about the opportunity of innovating with customer data and building more customer-centric innovation with your company.
Thanks for the presentation. And is this working? No, it's not working. Okay. Will we fix it? We fix it. Okay. Darek is already on the stage. Didn't let me introduce him properly, but let's try this. Let's first go with the round of applause for Darek Kocienski. And now we will think about how we can actually apply the possibilities of generative AI to actual cases. And you come from a very generically named company, which has very unique ideas, the software house. Okay, the stage is yours.
Thank you. There are many software houses, but there is only one, the software house. My name is Darek Kocienski, and I'm here to talk about the practical use cases of Gen AI that are implemented today. But I don't have the remote control.
The remote should be there on the stand. It should be working.
Okay, so we got 2023, yes? I've been working in the AI space for the past 5 years, and the way I see it is that 2023 is when AI is dead, and Gen AI is alive, and everybody is speaking about Gen AI, and traditional AI has become kind of thing of the past. And there are a lot of reasons why it's so exciting. It's all over news about the possibilities of the new technologies, how this is going to be changing our industries, how it's going to be taking away our jobs. So definitely interest is there, and big companies want to follow. So Kearney conducted research, and turns out that about 70% of large companies around the globe want to introduce AI and Gen AI in their environments. At the same time, one of the major challenges is that the business leaders do not know what AI use cases are the most applicable to their businesses. So how they can get benefits of the new solutions. So this is the area where I would like to hopefully inspire you today about what is currently implemented, not just talked about, but actually implemented, to give you some ideas of how you can use Gen AI in your own businesses. And later I want to tell you how to approach the first implementation. So what are those most common use cases? So the first one I want to mention is customer support and fast answer question data. The company I want to talk about is a project that I've been involved personally. The app is called Spren. They are a US-based startup, and they have a mobile app that helps you scan your body to basically find out your body fat percentage, to help you monitor your progress if you want to be healthier, if you train fitness. Using your camera, you can now take your measurement. The way they've implemented Gen AI is taking the boring FAQ data and user manuals and created a chatbot where users can interact and get help about using the app using natural language. The app is smart in a way that it remembers personal information and previous discussions. So if, for example, you say that you had injury of your arm, it will relate to this information if you are looking for new exercises the next month. The other way they used Gen AI is you can basically have a chat discussion with a famous podcaster, Andrew Huberman. He will not answer those discussions himself, but transcripts of his podcast have been taken and fed into the model, and you can interact using natural language and get advice, and the answers will be based on the knowledge that Andrew has been sharing through many years of his podcasts. A second use case is insights from meetings. Otter is a tool that helps get automatic summaries of meetings, transcript of discussions to save time of people. And the way they've recently implemented Gen AI is that the model is able to summarize and get the most important information. So if it's a sales meeting, it can find out what was the budget, authority, need and time, so that it saves precious time of salespeople. But it can go beyond that, because in this case, this is only basing insights on one particular discussion between one client and one customer. But AI can also get insights from thousands of different discussions about what were the problems discussed during the sales meetings, what are the major concerns or objections from my clients. The third case is from Zalando, a well-known online e-commerce platform. So their approach to generative AI is a bit different. So if you go to an expensive boutique shop, you may find a personal assistant who will help you get you this best dress for the particular occasion or your taste. And now they've turned AI to help accommodate that, so you don't have to spend fortune. Now you can ask using natural language and have basically normal discussion with the chat about what's the best dress, what are your tastes, which ones you like, and it helps you get the best purchase. Another one is internal knowledge bots. And to show this example, I will use a company called Autoliv. They are a large manufacturer of automotive parts, safety belts. They have factories in different places of the planet. And many companies have tons of data in their data centers. And numerical data has been already digested. We've got business analytics. For many, many years, this has been already taken advantage of. But one particular area that hasn't been yet so well used is text data. Companies have tons of text data, internal policies, notes from meetings, etc. But before generative AI, it was very hard to get business value out of them. Keyword search is pretty difficult. But now, with the help of Gen AI, Autoliv is looking for a system that can take insight. For example, if you have engineers who repair machines, and you've got notes from those cases where they've been conducting repairs, it can get insights out of those notes about what are the causes of common problems and what are the easiest ways to fix it. I've participated myself in a similar project for one of the large manufacturers, and in 1 week we were able to create a proof of concept of such a solution that is currently being tested with the clients. So I think that there are great opportunities to create knowledge bots. Another case is employee training. Centrical is a platform that helps companies train specifically frontline call center people. And this is a big problem because those companies, the call centers, if you ask them what is their primary business challenge, is turnover of people. Usually I think it's about 1 year, 1 year and a half, and then person quits. So the time that a company needs to onboard new people is critical to get business value. And the way Centrical helps is that they make learning fun. So instead of just reading through materials and then answering a test, it's creating small digestible portions of information that people can learn more on the go, and it makes them interactive because of gamification, checking the knowledge. So the way that they deployed Gen AI is to make it easy for managers to create those quizzes, and so the manager can just ingest all the materials, and the model summarizes and creates learning materials and even quizzes for the employees. Another one is qualitative research by Remesh. It's a startup that conducts qualitative research at scale. So before, it was common that you've got quantitative research that you can do at scale. You can ask 2,000 people the same question and get normalized answers. But qualitative research was usually done on small scale in focus groups of 10, 20, 100 people. But now, with the help of Gen AI, what Ramesh does, they are able to push such queries to, let's say, thousands of people and get their feedback in natural language and instantly get feedback. But what is most important is that because Gen AI can summarize pretty well natural language, you can actually get pretty good numerical results and insights about what people think about your product, whether 30% of people think that it should be more green or bigger or smaller. So this is now possible qualitative research at scale. And the last case that I want to bring is legal support with AnyLawyer. AnyLawyer is a Polish startup that's goal is to help lawyers and legal people be more efficient. And they've launched a tool that helps lawyers when they are working on some documents. You can have here a panel on the right that lets a lawyer ask questions that concern this document, whether this is GDPR compliant, get an answer, and if there are any points that should be put into lawyers' attention, it highlights it with comments, and you can even suggest answers to and responses to simple cases, significantly improving efficiency of legal people. So these are just examples of the use cases that are being implemented or have been already implemented in different industries. I hope that you get some inspiration about possibilities for your companies. So now the question is where to start. Most of the clients that I work with, they have different ideas of using AI in their companies, and they want to figure out what would be the best use case to start. And I have a set of criteria that I encourage to consider when selecting such a business case, because usually when you drive innovation, you want to start with success step by step. You don't want to start with failures, so it's very important to pick the right case to start. So the first criteria that you should take into account is pretty obvious, is about the business gain. So how much money we can either save or earn more because of implementing such a Gen AI solution. So looking at the cost perspective, maybe this new solution reduces the workload needed to perform some tasks, and you can actually put a monetary value on it. And I know it sounds pretty obvious, but I see many companies who don't do this equation. And especially when you compare different use cases, you should really look at the numbers and try to come up with what can be, for example, 30% decrease in workload in this process. What does it mean monetary? How many roles it will remove, and what will be the budget saved? The same on the revenue increase. And in this case, it's even more difficult because there are new solutions, and it's hard to figure out by how much maybe it will increase sales. But from my experience, it's still better to make assumptions than just follow blindly intuition. The second, also pretty obvious criteria is cost. But when you look at the cost, you have to look at a couple of different factors. So the first factor is developing this Gen AI solution itself. So what it would cost for AI engineers to create a RAG model, to build the infrastructure, to connect it with GPT, to perform tests, to basically create a tailored algorithm for your company. This is one of the costs that you have to consider. It's usually a couple of man-months to create a solution that can be deployed in the market. The second factor that you have to take into account is the cost of infrastructure. If you are building a small solution that will be used by a small number of users and doesn't use loads of data, infrastructure will be probably close to nothing. But if you are looking for something that has lots of data and is going to be used by many, many people, then you should also consider what will be the cost of infrastructure of your solution. And the third one is those solutions, they don't usually stay somewhere alone. Like, for example, ChatGPT, where you can just go and put your prompt. But if you need to put them in your software ecosystem, maybe you need to create a special app for those engineers that are going to use the model. Or maybe you need to consider a lot of changes in your current application that will enable deploying ChatGPT, the generative AI solution. This should also be taken into account. Risk is the third factor, very important because most of AI projects fail. That's a sad truth, but it's an R&D project. Every AI project is R&D. So you come with some assumptions that it will work great, it will bring great results, but there is always risk. And this is also the way that those AI projects differ from software projects. If I want to build a traditional software, mobile application, web application, in most cases it's doable. It's just a question of how much money it's going to cost. But if you build AI solutions, it may not be doable, your idea, and you have to verify, usually by doing some POC or running pilots. So what are specifically the things that you should consider? The first is the technological risk. So is it, do I have enough data? Will I be able to create such a model? Is performance going to be okay, or maybe users will need to wait 20 seconds to get the discussion, the results. So this is one factor. The second factor is how people will react to the solution, because those solutions, they also need to, in most cases, this human factor. So will people really happily follow the solution, change their behavior, or this will not be received well? And then the third is legal compliance. You need to check with regulations outside and also in your company. And the fourth and last ingredient that I encourage my clients to take into account is, maybe the less obvious, is support. Because we are speaking here about innovation, innovation requires support. And support, especially from business owners, product owners, if you want to bring innovation, you may have great project idea that will generate tons of money to the company, but if you don't have people who are responsible for this business area who share your passion and want to do new things, I would discourage you from starting there. I would rather pick a smaller project, but the one that has better support, that will be easier to implement, because you need support when you drive innovation. The second support that you need is from the executive team. So how well the goals of the project and the potential outcomes align with the company strategy. And last but not least, also the end users. So, for example, if I say, hey, I'm going to create a solution that will reduce our call center by 50%, would I get great support from people? Maybe not. But if I say, hey, we have an idea that will make our call center people less boring and more attractive, then I may be more set for success. So this is also an important factor to consider. And what I do is I encourage clients to basically create a decision matrix and assess each case, each idea of implementation that they have, and select low-hanging fruit. Something that you can actually start implementing relatively quickly, doesn't require much business, but that will bring you initial win. Because you want to show, hey, in your company as well, that AI works, that to gather more appetite from the company to do bigger things. I was at a workshop with one of the companies where we've been discussing for like 1 hour about those big initiatives where deploying AI would help and bring a lot of value. And we were debating which one would have more support from the executive team. But then we came up with a slightly different idea that needed just 1 week to build proof of concept and test. And we decided this is 10 times better to start with this one, build something small, but that already proves value as a way to enter. So at the software house, we are launching a new service called AI Exploratory Workshops. And we're going to be helping companies go through this process of listing all the use cases that competitors do that can be done in this company, and also collecting those ideas from within the company, because there are lots of ideas when we speak with clients. The second phase of this workshop is about using the criteria to select the best use cases to start. And then as a third step is planning implementation, mapping the success metrics, designing the proof of concept that can help test the solution in practice. And we are kicking off this as a new service. So I've got good news for the participants of the conference today. For the first 3 companies that reach out to us and want to start implementing Gen AI this year, we will conduct such workshop sessions for free. Just email us at this email address, and we'll be happy to help you put your first steps in the Gen AI implementation space. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Hey guys, so we're after the second block. It's time for lunch break, but before that I will use the mixed language model to announce something. So our partner, Miasto Katowice, the initiator of Miejski Inkubator Przedsiębiorczości and the owner of Rava Inc. Space, thinks that you might be interested in Rava Inc., so the advert will play in the background. You are more than welcome to enjoy the food outside on level -4, and we will be meeting again for the third block about the marketing in around hour and something. 2:30. So yeah.